Just listen up. Guys, we got 2,000 feet, 600 vertical meters to Camp 4. It's roped all the way, so I know you can make it. Once we get to the yellow band, we're going to regroup, put on the mask, turn on the gas. Make sense?
The opening text read that Edmund Hillary and Tenzin Norgay were the first two people to successfully climb Mount Everest. Since then, only hundreds of professionals have attempted to do the same, with 1 in 4 dying. Set in the year 1996, Rob Hall gathered his team, adventure consultants, to go ahead and climb Everest themselves. Rob met with his team, including experienced climber backwatters Doug Hansen, Yasuko Namba, and co-guide Andy Harold Harris. Together, they plan to embark on what they hope will be a successful and adventurous expedition. 6 weeks before the initial climb, Rob and his team are in New Zealand, ready to depart from the airport. He is with the manager of the base camp, Helen Welton, and his friend co-worker Guy Cotter. Rob informs his friend that he booked journalist John Cracker to do an article on them, which he was going to do for another expedition team, Mountain Madness. Rob later explains to his team the dangerous altitudes and temperature of the dead zone on Everest, which they hope to get past quick enough before things get really dodgy. Before boarding the plane, Rob says goodbye to his pregnant wife Jen. Rob promised to return home for the birth. Jen later sends him a message to let him know that they will be having a girl. The expedition makes it to the bottom of the mountain before heading on up towards the base camp. There, Rob runs into Skull Fisher, the leader of Mountain Madness. He is bit a pivot and Rob for getting John to move to their expedition, but is still on fine terms. Later, Rob introduced the team to the camp's Dr. Caroline McKenzie. She and Rob remind the climber of the lack of oxygen at the top of Everest, as well as the dangers of hypothermia and hypoxia. We see clips of climbers succumbing to the cold and dying. Beck called his wife Peach from the base camp after he forgot to send her a message for their anniversary. She doesn't like him climbing mountain and he stated that she will divorce him if he ever climbed another mountain. He didn't listen. Adventure consultants and other expeditions moved from base camp to Camp 2. They walked across a fixed ladder acting as a bridge hanging over a crevasse. Hard ice chunk break off and slide down under the weight of all the climbers, causing the ladder to shake, making Beck nearly fall over. He hangs on for dear life and is guided by the rope the rest of the way over. Facing some concerns, Rob suggests to Scott that they join their expedition together to get the top safely. And to ascend at the later stage, Scott is hesitant, saying that he and Rob have different styles, but he ultimately agrees to the onion. The two meet with their teams later to state that they plan on having an oxygen tank at the top. Scott guide Anatoly Bokrev say he won't use oxygen. Rob urged the rest of his team to use oxygen. The SC team gathers in a tent at night to discuss what they are climbing. Doug says that he wants proof that an ordinary person can do impossible. Yasuko wants to be the oldest woman to climb Everest. The teams encounter problems on their summit, such as several climbers beginning to fall ill, like Doug and Scott. Beck having trouble seeing due to a surgery he had a year before, and no fixed ropes over the south summit, forcing some climbers to turn back. Beck stays behind on the southeast ridge. Guys, who is calling the mountain next to the Everest, observes Rob and company from his POV and contacts them to make sure they are okay. Finally, some of the climbers start to make it to the very top and mark their spots on Everest. Anatoly is the first to touch the top, and Yasuko puts a Japanese flag on there. Rob contacts Helen back at base camp to inform her and the team that they made it to the top. She and the rest of the camp cheer the team on. Doug is still climbing despite his health rapidly deteriorating and his oxygen levels dropping. Rob runs into him on the way down, and he insists to Doug that it's over and that he gave it a good run, but Doug is not yet satisfied and decides he wants to keep climbing. Moved by his determination, Rob guides Doug to the top. Blizzard starts moving towards Everest, spelling trouble for the descending climbers. Rob and Doug get hit as the storm hits the mountain, forcing them to take cover. As they get lower, Rob notices there are not any oxygen tanks where he requests, so he radios Helen to send some up. He and Doug keep walking as the wind intensifies. Doug, barely conscious, unbuckles himself from guide rope. His dizziness, combined with the heavy wind, causes him to fall over the edge to his death. Beck's vision worsens while Scott starts suffering from hypothermia, forcing them to stay behind from their respective groups. The other climbers go get help, leaving Beck behind with Yasuko. Andy goes up to Rob, where Rob tells Andy that Doug is gone. Rob and Andy wait on the side of the mountain until it's safe to keep going. Unfortunately, Andy begins to feel the hypoxia, making him believe he is overheating, and he removes his clothes, leading to his death. Helen, sitting in the tent with Caroline and Guy, who has come to join the camp, radios Rob and urges him to keep moving downward. He tells her that his hands and feet are frozen, and also that Doug and Andy are dead, bringing everyone in the tent to tears. Helen calls Jen and gets her to talk to Rob by putting the phone next to the walkie-talkie. Jen encourages her husband to get down safe, reminding him that he has to return for the birth of their baby. Rob is told by Helen that the people meant to bring him the oxygen tanks are not coming because of the terrible conditions. He tries to keep moving on his own, but even he knows he can't make it in his condition. He falls over and calls Helen again. She calls Jane again so that she can speak to him one last time. He tells her he is comfortable and asks how Sarah, the baby, is doing. Jane tearfully agrees to call her Sarah. Rob's last words to her are, "Sleep well, my sweetheart. Please don't worry too much." Rob passed away under the snow and ice. Scott succumbed to the cold and lies in the snow to die. Yasuko has also died next to Beck's side. Helen called Peace to tell her that Beck never returned to camp, which she must in turn to tell her kids. Beck, however, despite being frostbitten, partially blind, and almost totally frozen, starts to get up and slowly head on back to camp. John spots him and radios Helens to let her know that Bex is alive. She in turn conspires to tell her the news. Together they get a helicopter to fly up and bring Bex back. The helicopter is almost broke down by the winds and extra weight, but they succeed in bringing him down where he gets heated up. Helen and the other climbers return home. They are seen meeting Jane at the airport and tearfully hugging her. Becky also returns home and hugs Peach. The last shoot is Rob's body, frozen and almost completely covered in snow. The final taste the Rob body is still up on Everest alongside the others dead fish. We see photos of the real Rob Hall, Doug Hansen, Andy Harris, Yasuko Namba, and Scott Fisher. Beck Withers lost his nose and both hands due to frostbite. Jane Arnold gave birth to a girl whom she named Sarah. We then see a brief video clip of the real Sarah Arnold Hall.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's me, AMANI AQILAH binti HAIRULNIZAM. Today, I will review the Everest movie. The moral value that we can get from this movie is listen to the chief instruction. For instance, Doug still want to climb a mountain despite having been stopped many times by Rob Hall, whereas they had been instructed to descend Mount Everest before evening due to relatively bad weather. As we can see, the storm have been seen. A few hours later, in a state of being trapped in the middle of the mountain because they didn't get to the bottom, they were hit by a storm with thick snow that could and severely endangered their life. This situation is very life-threatening. However, the kind-hearted Rob helped Doug climb the mountain up to the top and helped him to get down. We need to listen to the chief instruction if we don't want bad thing happen. Allah Azza wa Jalla has mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 195, which means, and do not throw yourself with your own hand into the destruction by refraining.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is SUHAIBAH binti ROSLAN. Matric number KID 210504165. Diploma in Islamic Education. Okay, today I will reveal the moral value that I get from one scene of the story of the Everest. The story of the Everest tells about the nature of responsibility and teamwork. They do not leave friends to self-interest. The majority of Rob's group reached the top. Only one man was left, and against his better judgment, Rob stayed behind to help him reach the top, while his other climbers spun and went back down. When the other climber went down, one of the climber named Scott Lobson helped Scott, who looks very weak due to not enough oxygen. Allah said in the Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah verses 2, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, wa ta'awanu 'alal birri wal taqwa wa la ta'awanu 'alal ismi wal 'udwan wattaquwa innallaha shadidul iqab. Sadaqallahul azim. The meaning of verses 2 Surah Al-Ma'idah: help one another in good deeds and do not help one another in evil deeds. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for hearing. Now we can go to the next person.
My name is ASYIQIN binti Muhammad NORISKANDAR. Moral values I get in the story is responsibility as a leader. Responsibility is something required of all every area of our life. We need to demonstrate responsibility in our families, when we are at school, when we are at work and in our community. Responsibility is one of the qualities that defines a good leader. In Surah An-Nisa 58 is surely Allah commands you to make overtrust to their owners, and that when you judge between people with justice, surely Allah admonish you with what is excellent. Surely Allah is hearing and seeing. Be responsible as a good leader. Means like what you are supposed to do. Leaders who are responsible are committed to following through with tasks and commitment. If you cannot be trusted to do what you are supposed to do, you will never be given more responsibility. Even when it's hard, you are proving to yourself and others that you are a leader who can be responsible. First, you. Self-control is needed when you have to do something. Leaders means that you decide and plan your action. It means that you make a plan, that you prioritize, and that you set a goal will get you where you want to go. Being a good leader means that you will be responsible. 5 key team leader responsibilities. First, manage the operation and admin. Second, lead and motivate the team. Third, manage performance. Fourth, solve problems. Fifth, care for healthy, safety and welfare of your people. Based on what I see in the video is leads and motivates the team. Second, I saw leader solve problems and care for the health, safety for team.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is nurain BASYIRAH binti NORALAZMI. I'm from Diploma in Islamic Education, class 1st semester 2. Today, I will make a review about movie The Everest. Alright, firstly, the moral value. The moral value in this movie is affection between family. The character in this scene is Jane and Rob. Rob's wife Jane is always supporting her husband to climb the mountain even though she worries against her husband. The moral value we get from this movie is we need to always give support and strength to each other in any situation happen. Example, Jane is always give support to Rob when he going to climb the mountain, even though Jane was pregnant. Then she will call Rob to know that he will be fine or not. But eventually, Rob died because extreme cold. Allah said in Al-Quran, Surah Maryam, verse 96, indeed, those who believe and do good deeds, Allah, the most gracious, will instill in their heart a sense of love. In conclusion, we as a slave need to have a sense of love between family and other beings. That's all from me. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Berg's friends shove him into the helicopter and let him go down from the top of Everest first. Because he was already so cool, we can see that Berg's friends was unselfish in leaving him at the top of Everest and even told him to get off by helicopter first. The moral value that we get from this part is helping each other. It is important to remember that in our daily life, we will encounter many people and we are not always aware of the storm they may be going through. The simple act of being kind can sometimes be life-changing to someone. One of the ways that we can be done is through positive conversation or even just smiling at someone. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, the verse number 2 tells, "Cooperate with one another in goodness and righteousness, and do not cooperate in sin and transgressions, and be mindful of Allah."